and today I'm here to film my August book haul, and this video is being sponsored in part by Disney Book Group. Not gonna lie, I'm so excited about this haul. I actually went out and bought a lot of books myself this month, meaning like, I don't know, I have a home base now, so I've just been buying all the things. I see it and I'm like, yes, I want it, and then I get it, and I have no regrets. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right in. So the first couple of books I'm gonna talk about are the books I picked up from Book Depository. I placed a Book Depository order this past month. In fact, the books I got are some of my favorite books ever. So anyway, the first set of books are all from the same author, and that is Brandon Sanderson. So the first three books I got are part of the second Mistborn trilogy. The first one being, which was the first one? Alloy of Law. I also got Shadow of Self and Bands of Mourning. This is the second trilogy within the Mistborn universe. I've actually already read the Alloy of Law, but it was about 4 years ago when I read it, and now that the trilogy is complete, I feel like it's time for me to reread and finish this entire trilogy. Again, since I finished the Stormlight Archives, I am just on a huge Brandon Sanderson kick. I can't not read his books, so I decided to continue my UK Brandon Sanderson edition books and get the matching second Mistborn trilogy. They're so beautiful. I love all of them. Couldn't say no, even though it took 5 weeks for them to arrive. And also from the Book Depository, I picked up Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. I believe this is Brandon Sanderson's first published novel and a standalone as well, but within the Cosmere universe, and again, the beautiful UK edition. And this is a story that follows a city that was once glorious, full of magic, incredibly powerful, and the capital city to the world it exists in, but then the magic left, the magic failed, and the city begins to fall apart. Everyone moves to a new capital city, and from there a princess arrives. She's there to essentially unite these two cities together, but a whole bunch of politics and magic, I'm sure, erupt from there. Again, trying to read all of Brandon Sanderson's books. This is a novel I've been meaning to pick up and read for a very long time. I love these editions. They go wonderfully above my desk over on the opposite side of the room. So I'm so happy to have this. And the very last book I picked up from Book Depository is a book I already own, and that is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novak. I love this book, and I wanted to get the matching UK edition because I have Rooted by Naomi Novak in the same kind of edition and style, and I just thought they'd look so beautiful together on the shelf. And I just love them. And Uprooted, I know now, is sold out on Book Depository, so I wanted to pick up Spinning Silver before the same thing happened. But I feel like I've been talking about this book a lot on my channel because I love it. This is a Russian folklore fantasy story. It is a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. It follows 3 young women. You see them each come into their own power and take control of their own destinies. It is so magnificent, full of magic, and just like, you read this and you're just rooting for everyone. I don't know, I love this book so much. Read it if you haven't. Get this beautiful UK edition if you're interested, because I did and it is awesome. The next book I have to show you guys is an incredibly exciting one, and that is The Storm Runner by J.C. Cervantes. And this is a Rick Riordan Presents novel inspired by Maya folklore. I have been just absolutely loving the release of these own voices folklore stories by the Rick Riordan Presents line. I love Percy Jackson. I love folklore inspired fantasy stories. I love middle grade. So everything about this book just excites me to my inner being. This follows our main character Zane, who has spent most of his free time and most of his life exploring the volcano that exists in the backyard. This sleeping giant is something that he's incredibly familiar with, but his life is essentially turned upside down when a plane crashes in the mouth of this volcano, and a mysterious girl named Brooke shows up on his doorstep telling him to follow her to this volcano. Turns out this is no ordinary volcano. This is actually a prison for the Maya god of death. And from there, Zane is forced to realize and begin to witness all of the monsters and creatures that exist in his life, and kind of he sets out on an adventure he wasn't expecting. Again, I absolutely love coming of age, middle grade, fantastical folklore inspired stories. I have never read a story inspired by Maya folklore, so I'm absolutely fascinated to see how the story will unfurl. I've already heard fantastic things about this, and I'm so excited to have it in my collection. Next up is a book I definitely did not need, but I also needed at the same time, and that is the movie edition to All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I love this series. I love Jenny Han, and I loved this movie so much that I couldn't say no. I couldn't say no to having this adaptation format of this book. I also wish Noah was on here somewhere, but you know, you can't have everything. Again, if you haven't seen the Netflix adaptation of this book, please watch it. And if you have watched it but you haven't read the book yet, please read it. It's so amazing. This follows our main character, Lara Jean, who is not the most popular girl in school, and she's had a lot of crushes in her life, and a way for her to confront and deal with these emotions is she writes them a love letter, addresses it, signs it, seals it, puts a stamp on it, but she never sends it. She puts it in a hat box under her bed. But then one day all of these letters get sent out and she has to deal with the consequences of that. It's adorable, it's sweet, it involves lots of baking that they didn't include in the movie, and that's the only thing I wish they included in the movie that they didn't. I have a feeling Netflix is going to adapt this entire series, so I think this is a perfect opportunity to read the first one, the second one, the third one, as we all impatiently wait for the rest of the books to be adapted. Next is one of my most anticipated books of the year, which you best believe I have already read, and that is Two Dark Reigns by Kendar Blake. This is the third book to the Three Dark Crowns series, and I've already read it. It was absolutely amazing, but it's no secret that I love this series so much. It follows three sisters and they live on an island that is a matriarchy. Essentially, every queen gives birth to triplets. These triplets all have different powers, and different factions on the island raise the daughters to essentially, when they come of age, they have to kill each other for the throne. It's so dark and delicious, and Kendar Blake constantly surprises me on new ways that she can take this story down. I just always think, I'm like, what can she do from here? And then she's like, this. And I'm like, oh, did not see that coming. This is a super dark story. It's amazing. Magic, sisterhood, friendship, love, betrayal, everything. It's amazing. Next up, I have A Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. This is a novel I just felt very inspired to pick up. I've heard really great things. A lot of people in like my IRL life, like in the workplace, have recommended this book to me, so I decided to give it a try. This is a very famous novel that was nominated for the National Book Award, and it's set during the Chicago World's Fair and follows, I think it's a fictionalized approach to a real life story. We follow one perspective, the architect of the World's Fair, and the second perspective is the murderer who's using the World's Fair as a way to capture and lure his victims to his clutches. It's a dark, thrilling thriller, and again, it's a very popular and well-loved book, so I picked it up. I want to give it a read soon, so hopefully I do. Next up, I have Red Notice, which is a nonfiction book and is another book recommended to me by a colleague, and this is the true story of high finance, murder, and one man's fight for justice, and this is set in Russia. I'm a big Russian history nerd, and I also really love financial history, so I feel like this is an intersection of two of my big interests. But yeah, this is a real life story about a guy who's a financier, and he's in Russia, and like everyone around him is getting murdered as he investigates this like financial crime that's occurring. Yeah, my coworker basically said it's absolutely thrilling, kept her on the edge of her seat. She said it perfectly falls into that category of real life can be stranger than fiction, because it's just so insane that this actually happened. So that really sold me, so I picked it up and I'll hopefully read it soon. Next up, I have Patrick Ness's And the Ocean Was Our Sky. This is illustrated by Rovina Kai. I love Patrick Ness a lot. So when I saw that he was coming out with a new illustrated novel that looked dark and eerie and probably emotional, I had to pick it up. Quickly flicking through this novel, I mean, the illustrations are absolutely breathtaking, and I honestly don't really know what this is about, but I don't really want to know until I read it. It's really short, and I think this is something I can just easily fly through and add to my Patrick Ness collection, as I love him so much, so I'm so excited to have this. And the last two books I have to show off is first the Mermaid and Mr Hancock by Imogen Hermes Guau. And this just seems like a really whimsical and funny, fantastical historical fiction novel. It says a compulsively readable and mesmerizing debut in which a prosperous elderly merchant runs into a mermaid. And honestly, that's all I really read, and I was sold from there. I don't know, this just seems like a really clever and hopefully fun, but full of mystery and adventure book. This old guy and a mermaid in the 1800s, I don't know. It sounds clever, kind of strange, and very much up my alley. And the last book I have to talk about is The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, and this was the winner of the Booker Prize. And this is a fantasy novel as well. And this is actually the retelling of the Iliad told purely from the perspective of the women in that story. I've actually read the Iliad in its entirety for some classes in college, so I definitely think a reimagining of this very classic tale will be very interesting. I also hoped I get to this soon, and I really wanted to inspire me to also pick up Circe, because I don't know, I have all these really great mythological retellings of a famous story that I've both read those source materials before, and I know I just need to pick them up. So I saw this, I saw that it was a reimagining of the Iliad, I needed to get it, and I need to also get my life together and read the Song of Achilles and Circe's. Or maybe I'll just have like a Greek marathon. Needs to happen. Alrighty guys, those are all of the books I picked up this August. Let me know down below some books you picked up recently, as I would love to know. I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!